Hello, welcome to another video by me, J Flash XCPW. Today, I will introduce a new segment called Staple. I will review two upcoming cards and I'll break them down and tell you what you'll see more of. Now watch as I give to you Karibo and Wing Karibo. Haha. Yes, so alright, what? What do you mean we're not doing that this week? So what's this week? Fine. Apparently we're not good enough to do Karibos. So, we're doing Diagusto Emeral and Lavalval chain. Anyways, if you don't already know, these two are highly anticipated cards, both being released in Hidden Arsenal 7, which drops on April 19th. Yes, Hidden Arsenal 7 is right around the corner, and people cannot wait to get the box and play those overhyped Evil Swarms. The fun but not that good Constellars. Oh, anyways, don't forget about all those 25-cent super rare cards because, you know, all cards in Hidden Arsenals are less than $10 except for the secret rares. But anyways, let's get to why we are here and start with Diagusto Emerald. Diagusto Emerald. 2 level 4 monsters. Once per turn, you can attach one Exceed material from this card to activate one of these effects. Target 3 monsters in your graveyard, shuffle all targets into the deck, then draw 1 card. Or target 1 non-effect monster in your graveyard and special summon that target. Now, excuse me. Let's see what's so good about this card. Okay, so yeah, it's good in basically every deck that runs rabbits. It's good in decks that run normal monsters. You know, Dino Rabbit, Near Saber-Swords, Caboozles, even Fire Fists, Gene War Werewolves, Forest Raiders, whatever you're running, Ninja Dog, or whatever his name is. And yes, the overly hyped Evil Swarms. Dark Magician, OTK. Gem Knight Pearl. It can bring back Gem Knight Pearl. It's a non-effect monster. This thing could bring back Gaia Knight from the graveyard. It's a non-effect monster. It did not say normal monster. It said non-effect. So, Gaia Knight, the Force of Earth is in your graveyard. Detached special. Good game. Anyway, it's also like a mini pot of Everett's. Except for you only put back into your deck 3 monsters and you draw 1 card. It's also one of those splashable universal rank 4s that only needs 2 level 4 monsters. No certain type, no certain attribute, just 2 level 4 monsters. And there you go, you have yourself a mini Avarice or a Monster Reborn for non-effect monsters. Alright, seems legit. Okay. It's 1800 attack points, by the way, and 800 defense, I believe. Yeah. Anyway, I know this card got some bad parts to it, so let's just talk about that now. First of all, it's only 1800 attack points. I mean, come on. You really gonna exceed into that thing? T-King could beat over it. Fire Fist, most likely, if they have them their little stone truck cars down there. Stratos could bump into it. Elias could run it over. It's beat overable. Yes, that is a word that I made. Beat overable. It's one word. Look it up. You won't find it. So yeah. maybe sometimes it might not be worth it. Maybe you don't really need to go Diagusto Emeral first turn. I mean, yeah, it's not one of those cards that you do first turn. It's, to me, it seems like one of those cards that you go into like late in the game after all your monsters have been used up with all your resources, and you just want to top deck something. Like, say you're running Fire Fist, and you know Fire Fist these days running 2 rabbits and 3 of the normal monsters. Let's say you used 1 rabbit. Alright? So now at this point in the game you have 2 voice raiders or werewolves in your graveyard because the monster you exceed summon into was destroyed. Now you want to exceed summon into Diagusto Emeral. Return both of those Gene Warps or voice raiders and another card back to your deck and shuffle and draw one card. Hey look, you drew a Rescue Rabbit. It's like you get to rabbit again. Actually, it's like you don't need 6 monsters in Dino Rabbit anymore. But then again, do you? I don't know. Do you really want to take out 3 Caboozles or 3 Sabersaurs just because you have a Diagusto Emeral? That's for you to decide anyway. So yeah, sometimes it's just not worth it. It's not one of those cards you go into first turn. It's not one of those cards you go into to game your opponent. It's like one of those cards that basically resets, slightly resets you. And I wouldn't expect it to last both turns. I mean, unless you have the protection, because you know you gotta have protection in this game. This game is rough. So anyway, let's move on to Lavalval Chain. 2 level 4 monsters. Once per turn, you can detach 1 Exceed material from this card to activate one of the following effects. Send 1 card from your deck to the graveyard, or choose 1 monster from your deck and put it at the top of your deck. Did I read that right? It really says that. I could take a monster and put it to the top of my deck. Wow. Let's talk about why this card is good. Well, first of all, after just reading this, we can already see. I mean, I could top deck with this card. I mean, sure, I can't top deck Lavalval Chain. That's, if someone top decks Lavalval Chain against you, call the judge. And if you don't, I don't think you should be playing the game. So yeah, what you could do with Lavalval Chain is, say you need say you need a BLS or a Judgment Dragon. Summon Lavalval Chain and put Judgment Dragon or BLS on top of your deck. I mean, if you have draw power, you don't have to wait for the next turn to draw it. You can just draw it in that same turn. Use Upstart Goblin. Or, like, Paul DeWalty. No, don't Paul DeWalty into it. If it's a card like JD or anything, don't do that. You could if you want to, but most likely you want to draw into, like, Upstart Goblin or Reckless Greed or something. I mean, it just makes your deck unstackable. Oh, what's that, you say? You stack my BLS at the bottom of my deck? It's okay. I'll just summon my Lavalval Chain and put it at the top of the deck. Yeah, I'm gonna stack myself. I'm gonna put BLS to the top of my deck. Is that okay with you? Oh, well, I don't care. It's gonna happen because Lavalval Chain in effect says it's gonna happen. That's nice, isn't it? I mean, here's what you can do. Oh, you just said what you can do. Upstart Goblin. Draw the card that you just put on top of your deck and use it. Anyway, this card is great in Infernities, I think, because you can send what's the name, Avenger or Necromancer, and special summon them back or whatever, Archfiend, because people do that. It's good in Chaos Dragons, very good in Chaos Dragons. Send a monster to your graveyard. Let's say you have 2 darks in your graveyard and you need 1 more for you know who. So you drop that dark monster from your deck to your graveyard, especially some of your Dark Arm Dragon. Let's say you don't have a light target and you want to summon BLS. Lavalval Chain, drop that Veiler or Honest or Lila or Light Swarm monster from your deck to your grave. Summon BLS. Let's say you want a Light Pulsar in your grave. Send that to the graveyard. This card is so good. Wow, what would... I really want to know who's in charge of making these cards. It's also good in other decks too, like... it's good in basically every deck. Can Inzektors make it? I'm not sure. They probably can. They probably could. Send a Hornet from the grave, from the deck to the grave. Send a Dragonfly from the deck to the grave. Oh my god, no. I'm getting headaches just thinking about it. Dark Worlds, if you really need that Grapha in your grave so you can bounce to your hand, or if you really need a target for gates. Lavalval Chain, I guess 2 Snows. Oh, you got Aegis. Beige is good. Just special summon it. Lavalval Chain. Send a Graph to the grave or a target for gates. Then use gates. It's pretty good, pretty good. Now let's talk about the bad parts of this card. Now, just like Diagusto Emeral, it's only 1800 attack points. Oh, by the way, it has 1000 defense. So let's say you use Lavalval Chains of Fat and put that card to the top of your deck, but you don't draw into it this turn. Your opponent can Mind Crush it next turn, and then they get to look at your hand. You know, if it's anything like a Monster Reborn or a Dark Hole, they don't get you to look in your hand because that card is at 1. But crazy if your opponent has 2 Monster Reborns in their hand. That's just crazy. So yeah, also, well, what is bad about you? I just don't know. There's really nothing wrong with you. Anyway, let's move on. Now, here it is. Which one out of Diagusto Emeral and Lavalval Chain will be playing more? The answer is... fake drum roll, please. Lavalval Chain. Yes, now, please allow me to explain. Chain will be played more. This effect is so much goodness. Send 1 card or top deck 1? Okay. Diagusto will be seen, but not as much as Lavalval Chain. It might be one of those cards that's just in the extra deck just in case. That might be where Diagusto Emeral is going to. And yeah, Chain is kind of the same, but it's nearly perfectly splashable in every deck. And it's also a card that you would kind of want to go into turn 1. It really is. And just set your plays up, set your next turn up, set your graveyard up for something. First turn. And yeah, it will serve a purpose in every deck, a direct purpose. And yeah, you don't always get what you want from a draw. You don't always get what you need from a draw. With Chain, you can get what you want when you want it. I mean, there's like going to be about what, 30 to, it's like what, 10 to 30 cards in your deck when you summon Diagusto Emeral. I mean, you're going to return 3 monsters from the graveyard to your deck to draw 1 random card out of your deck. Instead, with the Lavalval Chain, instead of drawing 1 random card from your deck, you're basically drawing what you want. It's like you get Destiny Draw. Remember how on Tag Force 5 for PSP, you get Destiny Draw is basically like they stack a Monster Reborn at the top of your deck? You get to do that in real life. So yeah, Lavalval Chain gets you directly to what you want in your hand. Now, let's think about Chain and Emerald in the deck of your choice. Just think about these 2 cards in the deck, any deck of your choice. But for me, let's take Machina Gadgets, the 6 gadget version. Chain is like a Gear X, but with no level restriction. I could I could send what's the name, Machina Fortress to the top of my deck. Or I could put a Machina Gear Frame to the top of my deck. Now with this guy over here, Emerald, what will I do? Sure, I could replenish my gadgets. I could put back into my deck Machinas and draw one card, but in this deck, Lavalval Chain seems to be better. I mean, it's also don't no, it's not just like a Gear Gigant X. It's not just like that. It's also like a Foolish Burial, except for with no restrictions. That's right. If you didn't notice before, Lavalval Chain doesn't just send monsters to the graveyard. It sends cards. So think about that in spellbooks. Sure, spellbooks may not need them. Spellbooks don't need them. But maybe you want to be different. Maybe you want to run 2 breakers. Maybe you want to run 2 level 4 monsters that are spellcasters, or any type of monster in spellbooks, just to get the Lavalval Chain out and send the spellbook from your deck to your graveyard, so you can play Fool of Prophecy or Reaper or whatever they do, whatever they're going to be doing soon, pretty very much really soon. So yeah, think about Lavalval Chain in there. Think about Lavalval Chain in decks that want their spell and trap cards to in the graveyard. And sure, I know I know it really matters on the deck you're playing, but don't a lot of cards do these days? Basically, it relies not only what the deck you're playing, it also relies on the meta. Will Lavalval Chain and Diagusto Emeral be good for this meta? This meta with freaking continuous spell and trap cards and monsters that could send those cards to pop your monster or spell trap cards. Will it contest against those? Will these 2 cards contest against the words I cannot describe, which are prophecies? Can these 2 cards beat that? I guess that's something you guys can decide. I, for one, am not ready to live in a life when elemental dragons and prophecies are running rampant. I don't want to be here for that. but I'm going to be here. And we're all going to be here too. So, all in all, I will declare Lavalval Chain to be seen and played more than Diagusto Emeral. If this does happen, you guys are going to want to get your hands on that guy over there, because that guy over there may be a $10 card or $15 card when it first comes out, but after this guy right here does something at a YCS or regionals that's worth noting, this guy right here, it's not going to be $15 anymore. It's going to be way higher. It could be 30. It could be 40. And we see prices go up on these cards. Look at Lance. Okay, let's look at Cowboy. Gaga Cowboy was like $8. This is like $20 to $25 now. Really? On a card that could just... I mean, all it does is inflict 800 damage to you. I know that's not all it does, but that's what people use it for. Yeah, we got cards that do better stuff than that. We got cards that inflict 1,000 damage to you, but you don't see nobody playing them. Nope. Anyways, we got Grenosaurus. 2,000 defense. 2,000 life points. Anyways, I've said I did the purpose of this video. Purpose of this video was to see which one will be played more, which one you should take an interest in, and that card is clearly Lavalval Chain. Now, I'm not saying not to buy or get or pick up a Diagusto Emeral, you will need it. It also depends on, like I said, the deck you're playing and the meta you're playing in. If you're playing Dark Magician, you want this card. You want both of these cards. You're playing Fire Fist, you want this card. If you're playing Elemental Dragons, I don't know how Elemental Dragons play. So don't ask me. I'm done. And earlier I said Evil Swarms are overrated. I mean that, and I will post a video very, very soon. JFlashXCBW, goodbye.